And yes, good evening, Trinidad and Tobago. Welcome to Plain Talk. I am your host, Philip Alexander. I am joined in cyberspace. I'm joined in cyberspace by Deputy Party Organizer Michelle Davis, soon to be joined by Felicia Holder, Chairman of the Progressive Empowerment Party, and we are also expecting Sean Sunarine, Deputy Chair, maybe others passing through. Tonight is all about the audience. Tonight is all about their calls. But Michelle, good night.
Good night, Philip. Good night, Trinidad and Tobago.
It's been a long time. The last time we did a Plain Talk seems like a million years ago, and it was just like, what, 2 months ago?
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? But we've been busy. We've been busy. I've been with Felicia in the mornings.
I see that, and I've been very jealous because I said, wait a minute, we're supposed to have some Michelle on the show, so tonight is a good opportunity to have you here. So, how's it been going down in South with coronavirus, COVID-19?
Well, we're all trying to stay inside. I mean, based on the tracking that I saw, we don't have any cases down really on my side, deep south. So we are just trying to stay indoors. Everybody's just trying to comply, but also survive. There are many citizens that are taking a hit because of the unemployment and because of the situation and not getting the grants. There are a lot of citizens down here in dire need of assistance right now.
Michelle, I think that the government is making a mess of that, and I want to tell you why. From the moment the government announced, sorry, I just sharing. Good night, Felicia Holder. Thank you for joining us. Fashionably.
Good night, Philip and Michelle. Yeah, sorry to be late.
Yeah, but Michelle, back to what you're saying. From the moment the state announced that businesses were closing and that people were to go home, the state accepted automatic responsibility for the livelihood of those people. What were they supposed to do after that? Hunt? What were they supposed to do?
Right,
They go
right.
home and go inside your house. So you automatically, the first step is we want you to go inside and we are going to put things in place to make sure that your mortgage and your rent and your phone bill and your light bill and all of that is deferred for the next couple of months. And the word deferred, because when you listen to people desperately poor, and they are always the largest number of people, when you hear the word defer, and to some of us, we might say, all right, defer my rent for 3 months. The fourth month down the road, you're facing those 3 months rent due. And
Exactly.
that could be a hit that many cannot take. Many people cannot take 4 months lump sum rent facing you. Many people can't take that. And many landlords who are in the rental business, deferring that rental, they can't take that. So it's a whole situation that requires the state to be a little more proactive. Tell me what you think.
Well, I mean, Philip, we're talking about deferral of 4 months. What about these citizens that are living pretty much day to day? In less than 1 month, we saw people, we are seeing actually people lining up for food in under a month of this pandemic. And it basically shows that a great portion of our citizens are living paycheck to paycheck and have no disposable income. So
This
I mean, the term deferral, we don't even know. That's not even a possibility of them paying that at the end of the month.
but the Minister of Finance, and Felicia can jump in anytime, but the Minister of Finance made it sound like this is la la land. Everything is honky dory in the land of milk and honey. What's going on? Are we being irresponsible with our poverty? What's going on?
I jumping in here because this was a topic, and Michelle, we would have covered this in depth this week, last week. I mean, from since all of this came out, and I remember telling my peeps on Facebook, I said the first time the government released all of these grants, and they said $1,500 for if you were laid off, and $2,500 rental assistance, and $500 food card. But to date, I have yet to hear or know of anybody who actually something that you're hearing about. It seems a pie in the sky kind of dream. In terms of people actually tangibly getting these grants, I have heard of nobody. You have to jump through hoops to get the grants, and then when you get it, it's $1,500. I mean, $1,500. We keep saying that is barely groceries for a week or two for a family of three. Barely groceries for a week or two. And the convoluted process that you had to go to even access it. I mean, I told people when the excitement of just hearing money being thrown out at you wears off, and you have to face the reality that you have to line up around a corner and then hear that you didn't fill out the form properly, so you have to come back the next day. The reality of the situation is it looks nice on paper, but when you have to actually face the process, and when you have to actually face the reality of what $1,500 really means, it's sad. It's really sad when you look at it. So many people are hungry right now.
Was this a hoax? Was this a means for the government to go and raid the Heritage and Stabilization Fund? Because I've heard billions of dollars have come out and have been accessed and have been borrowed to save the country. But then I hear another number like $38 billion has been set aside for grants. So what the rest of the money is for? To pay Abu to deliver the grants?
Exactly. It's definitely not for the citizens because, as Felicia indicated, to date, there's no, actually yesterday, the finance minister indicated that the grant still has not been dispersed. He admitted that yesterday. What has been dispersed, he has been the refunds, the tax refunds that were overdue since 2018. That has been dispersed, and he gave the astronomical figures of in the millions of dollars. But again, why is that COVID related, and why are we taking COVID money to pay back taxes? Again, that just goes to show the mismanagement of millions of dollars in Trinidad, and we continue to be the victims of this very greedy government.
It looks like COVID-19 is not the crisis in Trinidad and Tobago, but the government's handling of COVID-19 is the crisis.
Definitely. And I mean, Michelle, again, we would have spoken about this. $340 million borrowed from the CAF, 400,000 US dollars that was donated to us, $10 billion withdrawn from the Heritage and Stabilization Fund. And we have no, Philip, I think you put out a post on this, that post COVID-19, we need to see an accounting of where all of this money was and is being spent, because to date, the only people that I know, like Michelle said, I would have received anything are the back taxes people. And I had that exact same question. Why are we using relief money, crisis money, to pay back taxes from 2018? That means that you had no plan, you had no other solution to pay pay this out, and you were waiting for a crisis to happen.
COVID-19 is a blessing to the PNM. They get to blame the collapse of the economy on COVID-19. They get to blame the collapse of Petrotrin on COVID-19. TCL and Wasan, B-Mobile coming next year, and Tech, they're going to liquidate everything. NGC, we're going to sell out. We're going to fire sale in Trinidad and Tobago. People have to eat. People have to eat. And after all that talk, people who have to eat not getting money. People not getting food money. The government is taking advantage of the situation. And now the opposition jumping. I have to ask Anand Ramlogan today, because I put out a statement that the leader of the opposition responded to say they're not being reckless. Ma'am, if you're not being reckless, this is my position, right? Anand Ramlogan had to put out this statement. I didn't tell anybody to go outside. I just told them their rights. What you did, no, you didn't tell them to go outside, but you told them that the police can't stop them if they do go outside. Now, they have an old saying, if you can't help people, don't hurt them. And there are a lot of people who don't understand that this freedom that they think they want is going to come at a tremendous cost. I was driving through Western Main Road tonight, going to get gas. The police stopped me I said, good evening, sir. They said, good evening. Where are you? Where are you coming from? I told them. They said, where are you going to? I said, I'm going to Peaks gas station because where I live, none of the gas stations have diesel. I said, all right, be on your way. And I want to tell you something. I could have tell the fella, yeah, and I know, you can't stop me again, I go on my way. But I know that those police officers putting themselves in danger, trying to help put this genie somehow in a bottle. I disagree with the manner in which this was handled and all of the answers that they now have to come and give. People could sue for roadblock. If people could sue for roadblock when the UNC was in power in March 2015, the country ground to a halt with a day of total policing, the entire nation was roadblock. How come you didn't sue one? How come not one lawsuit? And this is, again, opposition and government is too much stunt politics and not enough management, not enough conversation between them. The reality of our situation is right now, we, like everybody else in the world, managing a pandemic. I do not think that we're doing a good job of it. I do not think we're managing the economy well enough. I am watching countries that are locked down, but they have restaurants open so that you can do curbside pickup and stuff, and that people have some freedom of movement, but sensibly. When we got to roadblocks, because I'm watching on the road, and it is very, very busy for a country that's supposed to be staying home.
Yes. I told Felicia during the week I was concerned with the behavior of the citizens in terms of the lockdown, because we are seeing the police have to do this extra work of policing people, on in the Sea Lots area. There was a video, I think it was Port of Spain South area, where citizens just going, just doing anything that they want to do and causing further concern and taking up time from the police. We are not, as citizens, taking this very seriously. And as you indicated, Philip, it will come back to haunt us. From a health perspective, we all know there's not enough testing to substantiate what are we out of the dark yet. And again, we're indicating all this money has been spent, but we're doing minimal testing, but yet we've spent $47 million.
So if you go ahead. No, I was going to say that you put out a diagram today that explained perfectly, that Venn diagram explained exactly how I have been feeling for these past 4 weeks, going on 5 weeks, as a citizen of this country, concerned about COVID-19 and what it means for the health of myself, my family, the public, worried that the government may be using this COVID-19 as a way to exert very dictatorial measures over the public, and the third being the economic fallout from this. And I mean, it's a kind of these three feelings, and it described it perfectly because it's exactly how I have been feeling. I'm concerned. Obviously, this is a pandemic. It is a health crisis, a burden on a system that was already overburdened, undermanaged, understaffed. We know our healthcare system was in a mess before COVID-19, and during this, I can't imagine just what exactly is going on. I mean, we're hearing horror stories, some patients who stayed in rat motels and roaches running up and down. We know, and there's a big chance that it is being handled from a health perspective very poorly. Like Michelle brought up the issue of testing kits. I mean, we have been hearing from the same conferences week after week that we're going to ramp up testing. We have ordered more test kits. Yet, to date, I still think the number of tests is just a little over 1,300. We have ordered 10,000 more test kits are supposed to come in, 5,000 from China, 1,700 are coming in to be used in the public health facilities. But again, things that you're hearing that's still nearing the end of what was supposed to be a month of lockdown still have not been implemented. And then we have the concern, I mean, again, 10 days that lockdown was to finish, we added even stricter measures on hardware, restaurants, and now he has a problem with people barbecuing at home. I don't get what exactly the government is trying to do. I understand that these are unprecedented times. I understand that there is no template to follow. However, they are making some very glaring mistakes and decisions that I have to believe are not in the interest of the public right now, at least not in their best interest.
They made a they made a mess from the start. I'm being told, all right, so for the past week we were at 114. They found number 115 to give us. They said, okay, look, it's still happening outside here. They still have people tested. I have been told that we do not have the ability to test, and that's why those numbers not changing. I've been told that there are people who are being monitored while we wait to get test kits, so that they are considered like Schrodinger's cat. You either have it or you don't, but you have to wait. Because we're going to keep you here until we can test you. I don't know if that is true. But when the takeaway from a press conference is barbecue pits and paint, come on.
Exactly. We from the beginning, Philip, as you indicated, from the get-go, when we decided to lock down the country, where was the plan? No, actually, from when they declared it a pandemic from the president, from January 29th, why weren't those kits ordered? Why wasn't the proactive measures? So clearly, these kits were just ordered in recent times, in the last 2 to 3 weeks. Hence the reason the population is waiting on these results. We have to have a higher count. We know they are not testing. The number is not changing, and we continue to have the citizens at risk because now we are not even testing this week. This week alone, it only differentiated by one.
Michelle, the reality of the situation is 1.2 billion people would have traveled the world by air between now and September. And I have that number because that is the number upon which the airline industry globally is calculating their loss. 1.2 billion people would have traveled. The reason coronavirus is still, though this virus has been with the world now since October, November 2019. So that's November, December, January, February, March, we're at the end of April, 6 months. And we're still only at 2,715,614 positive cases. And of those cases, 1,788,147 are currently infected. And of that 1,788,147, 1,721,469, or 97%, are mild cases, tested positive, but mild. Only 58,678 are serious or critical. Now, if you develop symptoms for coronavirus, get tested. And if you have it, they quarantine your home unless your symptoms are life-threatening, that it is deteriorating and you need to be put on ventilation otherwise. Of our 115 cases, I know nothing about them. I am seeing videos, I'm hearing conversations, I'm seeing lawsuits. People with ventilator tubes into your lungs, not suing nobody. Are we institutionalizing people just because they tested positive? And why are we doing that? It doesn't make sense.
Because we don't have a plan, Philip. We don't have a plan. From a health perspective, we know in this country, the citizens of this country know, our healthcare system has always been questionable. And right now, I don't think they know what they're doing. We are hearing all kind of nightmare stories. Are tests being conducted? Are they not being conducted? Who's quarantined? Who's not quarantined? Which is a clear indication of the health management system in this country.
Felicia, the reports that we get are so lacking of any information. What is people supposed to take away? You give me 3 pieces of information. How many tests you do, how many tests positive, and how many days. You have 8 deaths, 115 tested positive. But we don't know if those are mild or critical cases. We don't know if they're on ventilation. We don't know if they're passing out of the system. Are we quarantining everybody who tests positive, because if we're quarantining everybody who tests positive, they're going to fail fast. When they did Iceland, 50% of the population had COVID-19 and didn't know. So saying that you're going to quarantine everybody, that is not a plan. We're supposed to make sure that we have ventilation and facilities to quarantine the people who are critical. How do we get this information?
Exactly. And I mean, I believe it was only yesterday or day before that we actually got a factual breakdown of how many people
Yeah.
would have been tested. We have been hearing that 1,300 tests have been administered. However, we were not exactly sure how many people have been tested, which the numbers prove that it was slightly lower, but definitely not that we were testing 1,300 plus people. In addition to that, you have the fact that exactly what you say, we're using these press conferences rather than give people factual and accurate information so that we know that of the 114 people, 89 of them had pre-existing medical conditions which made them more exposed to, or them more susceptible to the disease, etc., or they range between 85 or something like that. We know that information around press conferences are being used to politicize the issue, and the only thing you're not hearing at the end of it is grace is the PNM, because that seems to be the consensus. It seems to be a PNM pushing it, which is so very contrary to what we heard at the beginning of this crisis, which is let's politicize it.
Ladies, we promised to take calls from the audience, right? So, Satish, I don't know if you're running the ticker with the number to let them know that they could call in on 682-2110. So the conversation will continue, but when calls come in, I guess the panel will answer the questions, ask or contribute to the contribution made, right? So I'm letting everybody who are watching now, you could call direct 682-2110. You could call through WhatsApp, same 682-2110, and you could ask your questions and you could make your contribution. I ask that when you call, if you could say where you're calling from, either in Trinidad or around the world, and if you could also keep your contribution short, mindful that others might be trying to get in as well. So we're going to be taking calls from anybody, 682-2110. Felicia, you could continue that point that you was making, because it's a critical point that if you are not giving people accurate information, then you're just trying to scare them into submission, because nobody knows. We have 115 cases, 68 came off of a cruise, 8 dead of the 8 that dead, 6 was on the cruise, so that's 2 that died. How did we taking a call, right?
Yeah.
Hello, good evening, your life.
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, are you hearing me?
Yes, hello?
Yes, hello.
Yes, good evening. This is the live talk.
Yes, you are live right now. Listen to us on the phone and not on your device.
Okay, let me lower my phone. Yeah. Right. Tell me when I'm going on air.
You are on here now.
Oh, sorry. Yes, good evening. I'm calling to just mention something that's been happening day after day. Okay. What I've been noticing is that these press conferences are more political than anything else. And the team for the press conference, what they do is they come in every day. They more or less say the same thing with a slight addition. Nothing much, just maybe a couple tests more, or there are no more cases, or that kind of thing. And the Minister of Health, he keeps repeating the same thing over and over, and it's kind of really getting to you in the sense that, of course we understand, tell us something that we don't yet know. Each day come with something else, as if you really have a plan. Now the next thing that I want to say, and it's a question actually, we want to know really how many people have been tested based on the amount of samples that they have done. Now, I put it up on Facebook. Somebody told me the minister mentioned checking it today or yesterday, whenever it was. It's 1100 and something. I see something else, it's 900. But the mathematics don't add up, right? What is happening there is that if they have 1200 and something samples and they are testing a person 3 and 4 and 5 times, then you definitely cannot have 900 persons tested. That math don't add up at all. So, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that contribution, and you can listen to us off the phone. We're going to answer everything that you raise. Felicia, you want to take it from there, Michelle? The lady,
Definitely, everything that she said was what I thought were the numbers that came out. She's correct. The first number that they put out in terms of how many people were tested, actual tests administered was 1,137, I believe. I asked the same question. Testing people once, 5 times, 4 times, and I really apologize. I seem to be a conspiracy against me. If we are testing people on numbers, how is it that we arrived at that number of 1,100 and exactly what she
let's
stressed
take this
on?
call.
Yeah.
Let's take this call. Hello, good evening. You're live.
Hello, good evening. I'm calling from Sugonas.
Hi, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks a lot and congratulations on the type of work you and your team is doing. You are doing a fine job. You are doing the job that we as taxpayers expect the government that we put in since 2015 should be doing. And I have had some similar concern concerning the testing. How much have they tested up to date? What are the Minister of Education doing? What is the Minister of National Security doing? What is the Prime Minister doing? What is the Minister of Health or lack of health doing? Heaven help us all.
Indeed.
Right? So,
Where are you calling from?
Sugonas.
You did. Yeah, just thanks for your contribution. Anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I keep listening and whatever. The other callers are doing a great job also bringing up the pertinent points. And what are we supposed to be doing in terms of like when police stop us going to legitimate business like a supermarket and to buy food? And
Well, listen off here, and we're going to address that right now. Okay, I'm going to take another call. All
Thanks
right.
a lot, sir.
Okay.
You take care and have a good night.
Hello, good evening. You're live.
Good evening, Mr. Alexander. This is Paul from Belmont.
Belmont. Felicia is one of your constituents.
Hey.
I am just lower down from you, so even after the bother too much. I was just calling to actually express the same things you were talking about a lot in your online conferences between different people. And believe you me, this coronavirus has been taking an effect in everybody's mind. It's like what you call it, mesmer. I don't even know.
But it preoccupying your mind. I absolutely understand what you're trying to say.
Yes, it's like mesmerizing your mind.
Yeah.
Right? Because at the same time, if we have watched the world statistics, whereas the places that have the most infected viruses, well, where corona mostly affect people, there's more cold areas.
Yep.
They have less tropical areas with less cases. The sun and the beaches are the most effective thing, including building your immune system. But the sun and the beaches are the most effective thing towards this coronavirus, and why they're telling us to keep away from these places.
I've been asking the same question because we could manage, we could police, we could monitor. You know, if somebody is not obeying the rules of social distancing, Gary said he could move them from the bank, he could put them out at the grocery line, so you could put them out at the beach. You could tell them, listen, they open beaches in some countries, they say, you come, you go in the water, you swim, you come out, you dry yourself, and you go home. That's therapy. We could do that. We could do that.
I have no problem with people bathing in order. Why we can't do that? It will keep us more immune from this virus.
They're too accustomed to
I wanted to
making.
express to the public.
No, but they're too accustomed to making Peter pay for Paul. You know, that we will work to the lowest common denominator. So whoever gonna do the most bad, we not going to we'll blank everybody because one person spoil it for all. Thanks a lot for your call, my friend. We had to take some other calls. Yeah. Take care, my friend. Bye bye. Oh gosh, I'm trying the phone. I think we have 9 calls here. Hello, good evening, you're live. I never get this many calls when I'm alone. You know, I think it's these 2 people who are met with me. Hello, good evening, you're live. Right? Yes, I hear you.
Yeah, I've been looking every morning online, sometimes listening to the DLC. And, I think, to my knowledge, I could be wrong, I don't think this might make any sense. Because first to begin with, I want to know if this guy is a doctor. Because the doctor who is there, the CMO guy, he does not give him a chance to speak. I don't know if he look at Donald Trump every day before he comes in the morning time. I figure he's the man in charge there, But the main thing is that I think probably should have a doctor who knows about medical. You don't get a pharmacist who knows about medical. They know about medication a little bit, not really too much. I don't know how far where he advanced in his business, but I think this guy is just all the way out. He just add up things together, and then another thing, they are lying to the public. You could see right now, the most person who like have education could think that these people are lying. And another thing, this money that they promise the citizens, in the United States here, Donald Trump and them, they direct deposit money to the citizens' account. Single people get $1,200, and married couple get $2,400. And then afterwards, they will see about the illegal citizens and whoever it is.
How easy it is to access that money?
Well, they announced it in about 2-3 days. When they announced it, in about 3 days after they deposit it in their account.
So do you need to go and get job letter and proof of?
No. When we do our taxes, because we have something they call TurboTax. You bought it at Staples and all the places at this. You download it in your computer, and then a lot of people do their own taxes. Some people go to a tax accountant to do the taxes, but I do my own taxes. We do our own taxes home because it's very easy, simple. How much money you work for, your wife, your social security number, your date of birth, where you work, what state you work in, and blah, blah. Just normal information. If you drive to work and you have 2 jobs, that's it. And then after you email it to the IRS, and then afterwards, in about 2 weeks or 3 weeks after you do your taxes, they direct deposit your money in your account. At the state that you live in, they say they mail you a check. The state mails you a check, but the IRS deposit in your direct deposit. But the thing is that you don't have to get no bank account and job letter and all these things like that. And that's what the government should have done with people in Trinidad and Tobago. They should have direct deposit the taxpayers and them all those who pay taxes, their money in there, and afterwards you see about all the other citizens who is not working or whatever the situation is. At least people will have money to flow and go by. But they're not doing that because they're only concerned about is buying a new suit, putting on a new handkerchief in the pocket, coming in there, farming up.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for that. Thanks a lot for all of that, my friend. But when I tell you the phone ringing off the hook, and I really want to tell you thanks a lot. Let me take some of the calls, okay? All right. And for those who are not getting in, and Felicia, I don't know if you and Michelle in a position to take some notes for any of the questions that we can answer in a group after. I don't know if that's possible. I just try to manage the switchboard now. But to those of you who are trying to get through that didn't get through, just don't worry, we're going to take every single call. We're going to be on as long as it takes. So take your time and call in. Hello, good evening, you're live.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening to you on the panel. I'm calling you from the Barrackpore area.
Barrackpore, welcome.
Right. Just a few points. I'm sure it is well documented that our mental state has a lot to do with our healing process, right? Now, it is stated that for those who are positively tested, that these folks are, for want of a better word, they are institutionalized. I think for whatever reasons they are using to keep it open for the few days, those are the reasons they should also use for keeping them open altogether, meaning Monday to Saturday, Sundays included as well. Also, third point, we're hearing a whole lot of what might possibly be a second wave. Now, based on what the Minister of Health and his colleagues are saying, is that if we were to reduce lockdown per se, there could be the second wave. But if they are so sure that we do not have infected folks in the general public, and all, if not most of our cases thus far are imported cases and who are presently in quarantine, then why should we have a second wave? Just something to think about. Pleasant evening.
Thanks a lot for that. Thanks very much for that. Ladies, we have a gap. Although they're not going to be long because a lot of calls that didn't get through going to be trying to get in now. But take it on. You know.
Well, they are predicting a second wave, Philip, because we have not been doing the adequate testing. So hence the reason we really do not have an accurate count of what is going on in this country in terms of COVID-19. So when these test kits do arrive next week, I'm pretty sure we're going to have a further lockdown because all of this testing throughout the country needs to be done. We don't have a clear picture, hence the reason they are basically instilling this lockdown because they don't know the situation we're facing.
So you're saying that basically they're stuck. They can't test. So when they do test, we will get numbers that will increase the 115. Will you say that's sounding plausible?
Well, I mean, there's a possibility, and I was thinking.
Yeah, but continue.
Okay, I'll remember to save my talk for.
No, finish that. I want to hear that part. I was like, no, keep it short because you have a call on the line.
Oh, I was saying that there is that possibility because if you're not testing, you have no idea who is out there, who may have people around freely, considered essential and infecting other people. I don't know how many people know this, but St. Lucia, which is a little further up the island from us, has a population of under 200,000 people. They had 15 cases of the virus, and today, as of today, they are completely COVID-19 free. All 15 people who tested positive have now recovered from the virus. Their government also took a 75% pay cut, and I mean, they are smaller than us, and they are handling this so much better than we could at the moment right now.
Caller, good evening, you're live.
Hello, good night.
You will try to get through, but you have persistence. I see that number call about 10 times. Good job.
Yeah, good night, Mr. Alexander.
Where you calling? What part of the country or the world you're calling from?
I'm calling from the world of Mearo.
The world of Mearo. Well, you're in a nice place. You're in a nice place. You could go in the water?
No, we banned from all beaches, sir. Mandate.
Make your contribution, my friend.
No, but I have a question, right? Is it true that the patients of the COVID-19 who test positive for it, are they getting any paper trail stating that they are tested positive for COVID-19? Or is it all verbal hearsay?
Friend, your guess is as good as mine. That's what we're talking about, the complete lack of information. I stopped listening to the press conferences. It must be a month now. When they on, I still on Netflix and I watch The Amazing Spider-Man. I get more information from him.
No, because I am asking this question because my next question is, how is it the government could quarantine persons on invisible virus, but when it is they test positive for these patients are tested positive, there's somebody confirming that it's positive for COVID-19, but there's no written document that supports it. That seems very, very shady for the healthcare system, number one, even though the virus is new. I mean, if a human can confirm that somebody is positively tested for COVID-19, shouldn't somebody also authorize paper trail and a signature to sign off on that? Why are we having all these invisible documentation and all this going on with COVID-19, something that is so serious?
Well,
Number two,
oh, sorry.
my next question is, it seems very much like all these programs, just similar to yours on Facebook or whatever, of people having concerns and a lot of people concerned about what the government is doing, right? But my question is the same concerns, but my thing is, time is running out on the people who are actually in need of. So, and the government don't seem to be shifting in any direction of change and helping anyone. So what is going to happen? What can the population, the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago really do to make some kind of impact and change versus what the government seems to be doing versus, you know,
Well,
I mean, because
I want to tell you, that's the purpose of an election, and one will come soon. You've seen for yourself what manifest incompetence looks like. There are too many people outside here right now catching their tail, and they have no idea who to turn to. They line up outside National Insurance Board, and NIB come out and chase them and tell them, we ain't know nothing about no grant. So I don't know what, listen, I actually have breakdowns of where the public health funds in the United States went. I have forms and how you access grants from Canada, the United States, and England. And I could fill those things out now and possibly get a response. In Trinidad and Tobago, under this government, we playing the fool. Thanks a lot for your contribution, my friend.
yeah, man.
Hello, good evening, you are live.
Hello?
Good evening, you're live.
Yes. Philip,
Yes.
this is by Victoria, boy, man.
Mr. Brown, how are you, my friend?
Good. Two quick things. Concerning this granting with the forms they want people to fill out and stuff like that, you know? The same way they send ballot cards and people boxes for election, the same way they can send checks to people and get away from all these
You think,
forms to fill out and NIS and boards to sign it and all these kind
you
of
think they
crazy
do
things.
that? Do you think they do that?
You understand? That's craziness, man, and they're trying to stop people from being outside, but they want them to go outside to get things done. To get a grant.
It's ridiculous. That's it, my friend.
You know, and the other thing is, these kind of lies, you know, and they seem to go over and over every day with this, the Minister of Health and stuff, so people get set up for that, you know what I mean? You know, it's time for us to stand as one of this here under one flag and do something about it. People need to stand up now.
Indeed. Well, I hope everybody wake up. Whose eyes was deliberately closed had to be open, because if there's one thing that's wake people up, is hunger.
Yeah.
Take care, my
Anyway,
brother.
brother, I'm with you 100%, and as soon as I get some time, I'll come and check you out.
Stay strong. Stay strong.
We'll take it easy and do a very good job. Thank you very much.
Take care, my friend. Hello, good evening, you're live.
Hi, good evening. I'm trying to get into the program.
You are on the program and you are live.
Hi, Philip. Good evening. Good evening to Felicia and Michelle.
Thanks.
First of all, I'd like to say thank you to you all for your efforts into what you're trying to do for the country. And Trinidadians need to understand that we are not a PNM and UNC country. We are all Trinidadians.
Indeed.
And we need to pull together to save this country now.
Indeed.
This is our last chance, literally. As far as the conferences that you're speaking about, I am also looking at it every day because it has become something of no substance. The CMO, which I heard a rumor today that has resigned, I don't know how true that is.
I ended about 3 weeks now.
He always looked like he's been prompt to say what they want him to say. You know? So I could go on whole night with all the mess this country is in, but I just want to say thank you very much for the effort. And with God's speed, you all could get these people out of this place. Thank you.
Well, listen, before you go, when you come off the phone, just shoot Michelle Davis a private message, because she'll help get you on board and get you involved in mobilization team. Yes, Michelle, in whatever constituency he's in. That's Tanya.
I'm calling from Santa Cruz.
And he's in So you link him up with Tony because Tony Defoe is the caretaker of the deputy political leader. All right, so you'll send Michelle a private message. All right. Thanks a lot for calling.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You have a break in the call. Take it.
Philip, what's going on is what most of the callers are expressing is the lack of transparency in these meetings or briefings. What has happened? The public is not feeling the confidence they should be feeling in the government that they elected to run this country. They are feeling and hearing lack of transparency. We know we are being lied to. We know there are untruths on those briefings.
Hello, good evening. You're live.
Hello, Philip. I'm calling from Toronto. I'm listening. I listen every night and every time. Yes, I'm listening every time to what you all discuss. I can say that up in Toronto is so different. When people come into the country, they go into self-isolation in their house. And if you're tested positive and you're mild, you go home too. It's only when you need to go in the hospital. Another thing is that as far as the grants are concerned, my daughter applied because they're married, right? And within one day, the next day, it was in her account already. And as far as the way they are taking people all over the place, dropping up Tagari, go all over, it's a way of finding out the funds to other people. They exploit every situation. I'm 75 this year, right? I have been around in the political field for a while. I actually was elected twice for the East area. And what I can say, even no matter what party side you're in, there are few people in Trinidad, very few, do not get themselves involved in some form of corruption by collecting funds somewhere or the other. So with your fight, I pray every day that one day we'll have somebody like you. Hopefully the people's eyes will be open because I know the eyes have to open. Only the difficulty is there because our family, you know, I came from a huge family, 11 of us. And with exception of the first one that dead, the most of them in Trinidad. And what we are seeing is people are going down the drain and are suffering. My family, fortunately, we all stick together.
As it should be.
Although all of us are married, we stick together to survive.
As it should
My
be.
parents, for our family of business, we don't know about 8 to 4. We know about getting early in the morning and working. And when I worked, I always say, you're a company man. I say, no, I'm being paid to do a job. And if I cannot do it, I leave.
Indeed.
I'll survive. I'm almost 50 years married. My last son is 40 this year, and the first one is 40. I have 7 granddaughters, and we are all surviving. And I live in Belmont. I don't know where Felicia is from, but I live in Belmont for a while. Which I say, all right, from 72 till I left in September 92.
Well,
I live in Morris Place, and I also live in the corner of Palmas and Archer Street.
well, you shoot a message when you come off this call.
Because they're suffering right through. They never had a good time.
Thanks a lot.
Hopefully that this year and Michelle and you all would survive and fight it out and make sure one day some people's eyes will be open and you'll see a better Trinidad. But I cannot survive this. That's why I left.
I hope you're coming on board to help us with the movement.
Well, hopefully I can have funds to come down and help you all. But I'm a Canadian citizen, but also carry a Trinidad to be good.
Send Felicia a private message. Let me take this other call. You and Felicia will continue our conversation. Thanks for reaching out.
Yeah, I understand. Thank you. Okay, thanks for listening to me.
All right.
Okay, good night.
Okay. Hello. Hello, good evening. Sorry, I apologize. Hello, good evening. You're live. Yeah. Yeah, we have such a terrible connection. Hello, I don't know if you're hearing me. We have a terrible connection. You want to try calling back? We're not understanding a word you're saying. So if you could call back, I would appreciate it. So there's somebody, Tracy Raggett, on the thread. Stephanie says too quiet. We need her to speak up for she Belmont people. You can, okay?
Well, I think we get my number update. Oh, y'all got that green frozen. Y'all got that?
No.
We got your the connection, the real playing with it tonight, boy. Yeah?
Yes.
Mr. Yeah, we hear you, Felicia.
Clearly
Yeah.
seems to be action. But them to call me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Trying to manage all of these feeds. Hello, good evening. Yeah, a little better. He's calling from Tunapuna. You're hearing him?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm of the opinion that the tests that we are using for the COVID-19 are coming from China. Is that a fact?
That's what I've been told as well.
Okay, well, I've been aware that in places like India, these tests have been found to be like about 90-something% faulty. So I'm really concerned about the kits that we are using. So our figures would really be, will be totally unreliable. So that's my major concern. Another concern that I have is that they are trying to implement a state of emergency with the regulation, but they wouldn't call a state of emergency. So I think they should call a speed a speed. If that's the way to go, that's the way to go. You might just don't try to implement it through the back door or something of that nature. I wish maybe you guys, the panel, could shed a light on that, but that's my major concern.
Thank you very much for that, my friend.
Okay, man, take care.
Take care. Stay safe.
Bye.
On the issue of the state of emergency, I don't know. Some people seem to need a state of emergency to take this thing seriously. I don't know. I've never seen people call for a state of emergency like I see it in
Beg.
general.
They practically beg us first.
Well, I think there's a conflict also. I mean, let's be real, because just yesterday they indicated that the policing of the strong police presence throughout the nation has nothing to do with COVID-19, because basically they knew at that point, they just admitted yesterday that they would be infringing on on constitutional rights of the citizens. But if you do call a state of emergency, it is covered under the lockdown is covered under the state of emergency. So I think some citizens feel, is that our only option to get everybody locked down and stayed home?
It's like semantics. You're telling the government, if you don't call a state of emergency, you can't curtail people's rights. So call a state of
Right.
emergency so you can curtail people's rights. Come on. Come on. What's that about? I think this was such a foolish exercise for the opposition to take on. And I want to say this, Gary Griffith, from the start, put the Attorney General, the Minister of National Security, and the Prime Minister in the place. Every time they try to overreach and force the police to act outside of the law, Commissioner of Police Gary Griffith is there telling you, we won't be doing that. You have rights, you have privileges, you can carry on. Please respect the health ordinance. Why do we need to make it draconian What is all of this about? I'm not getting it.
Well, they don't, Philip, they want their cake and their icing too. They want the citizens to be on lockdown, but they don't want to technically call that state of emergency because that is a political little dynamic going on that UNC called a state of emergency when they were last in power and blah blah blah. It's politically driven. And we should understand that as citizens. It's politically driven while they are not technically naming it a state of emergency. But in reality, they are trying to play it out as though it is. So they want their cake and their icing too.
I had to say, you're spot on with that. Felicia, you still here with us? I think Felicia having real trouble with her connection tonight.
Yeah.
No, but Michelle, you're not wrong, eh? And girl, at this point, I don't know what to say to them. I don't know how to say to the government and the opposition that they have a responsibility right now in this crisis to put the cheap politics aside and start to work for the country. Let's get real information, not semantics, not political stunts, not drama and games and bacchanal. Why must that be our go-to for everything? Why?
Well, right now the opposition is playing on the cries of the hungry people. So the people are crying out to open up the country because those are the citizens that are suffering. So it is understandable. I understand their plight. But we have the opposition who has been silent on so many issues in this country, including the handling of COVID-19. We have not heard anything from them.
But you go to the courts to sue for people to go out to work. Go to the courts to sue to force the government to put the grants in the people's accounts so they can eat. If you really care about hungry people, that is what you should be suing for. Sue for people to get the actual grants that the government promised that the people would be getting. Hello, good evening, live.
Hi, Philip. Is it
Yes.
the reason why the government refused to call an official state of emergency is that if they did something like that, it would be harder for them to access taxpayers' funds and do what they want with it, being
I
the
don't.
country shut down?
I don't think so. But we continuing that debate. Let me just take this last call here and we will continue that point that you raised, okay?
Oh, okay, fine.
Hello, good evening, you're live.
Hello?
Yes, hello, you're live.
Yes, I'm calling on the show here.
You are on the show, you're live.
Oh, sorry. I just want to talk to Philip Alexander and his PPT for inviting people to contribute. I mean, this is perhaps the only platform that people of the public can hear their views about what is happening.
I wonder if you could speak up a little more because we're having difficulty hearing you. Possible?
Yes, are you hearing me a little better?
Hearing you a little better. Michelle, you hearing him?
Yes.
Yeah, continue. Sorry about that, but we were having some difficulty hearing you.
Yes, I would say I just want to thank Philip for and his team for inviting people to take part on this platform to provide some kind of solutions and so on to what exists with environment which we're in. I am particularly concerned about the whole idea, and I agree, Philip, 100% is to get the money in the people's accounts.
That should be the only issue.
That should be the only issue at this point.
Indeed.
Because of the party's manifesto and so on is to get things done, get things working.
Absolutely.
To simply, I don't know if I have a concern too, whether or not they have so many issues, whether the government is doing what they're doing is legal to literally hold the country at ransom, to give them this, to give them that. This becomes more like a legal issue than a stimulus or survival package. So perhaps within the gambit of things, there needs to be the issue of agricultural people. So the And a lot of people from the Canadian people and even from the United States, what makes them so different to simply write a check out and send it to people's accounts? What it is, they have the whole list of voters there, the voters back there, that is sending poll cards. So they have all the information about everybody, where they live, how many people in the family, and all that kind of thing. I heard one gentleman talk about the whole issue of having their money put into their account. And I have family abroad. They got because it was on the night, but they had the money in their account. So
Yeah, I hearing that a lot. I hearing that a lot in first world countries. I hearing that a lot.
So, I mean, my issue is, what is does this government have the right to do what they're doing? Are they operating within the law? They don't go law.
Well, I think that after all of this is over, there will be enough lawsuits for us to find out if they have been in fact breaking the law, the rules, the spirit of the Constitution. So I think we will have to wait until after. But until then, people like yourself and us, we have to remain eternally vigilant and keep them from abusing the system. Yeah?
Well, yes, I just want to make one other point too.
Sure.
Because this whole issue about the wealth of this country, why are you giving people $1,500 to the COC? What on God's will you going to do with it? They buy groceries from us. They need a substantial amount of money into their account to carry them through a 3-month period or so, and to have them simply begging the government for something. And the issue with the amount of millions of dollars and billions of dollars, what is being done with it? That money belongs to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, not no Minister of Finance in the way. He needs to give an account of on a daily basis or weekly basis what is spent, how it is spent, and what aspect of COVID is dealing with, and how it's going to the social aspect of the people. Because you're going to have emotional problems now, you're going to have social problems, you have economic problems, and if they do not respond positively to this whole situation, it's a very going to be chaotic.
Thanks a lot for your contribution, my friend.
Yes.
Stay safe.
Right out to you.
Hello, good evening, you're live.
Hi, good night, Mr. Alexander. See you on your team and the big Peter Trinidad. Well, they're doing a good job, but I really want to get 2 little points across quickly now. My fullest thing is this whole charade that they have in this conference zone. I realizing after watching carefully, like they have questions lined up, the people to ask particular questions, and then the minister most of the time reading some facts and figures from these type of questions they're asking. It have no way your program or somebody from your team could get on board with that question paneling.
Satish,
Relevant questions, right?
Satish Ramsaran, as head of PEP Media, has officially written the communications minister in his capacity as head of PEP Media, in her capacity as Minister of Communications responsible for the press conferences. And if we don't get an answer in a timely manner, we will approach the courts to get redress on that. Trinidad needs at least one person in those press conferences to ask proper questions, and we have enough people in the Progressive Empowerment Party. It doesn't have to be me. We can rotate through our whole leadership, and a different person could go on at any given day, and we will be asking the questions that need to be answered. And we will ask one question a day, and by the end of the week, the government will realize that the people are not being fooled. Thanks a lot for your contribution, my friend.
Okay.
Stay strong. Hello, good evening. You're live. Michelle, I apologize. The phone not stopping. Hello, good evening. You are live. Let me put on the speakerphone. I apologize for that.
Thanks.
Hi, good night. Sorry about that.
Hello, good night. Calling from Sani Grande.
Welcome to the show.
Good night, Philip. Good night, Philip, and good night to the panel. I want to say that, in Trinidad, we have a sense that we're not feeling safe in this country financially. We have we have something that's going on here in this country, where people we don't have we reach a state where we don't know what's happening tomorrow, and the people that are responsible for handling the financial affairs of our country, they are not giving us any assurance. So at some point in time, they will have to stand accountable for what they are doing.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
I just want to say that, it's a bigger picture here, because when you look at, we have older people and we have the young generation. What will you tell the young generation? What's happening in Trinidad could be split in let's say, in quarters where you have boundaries, and you could say, well, we have Sani Grande, we have Aruka, and you can have a safe zone. You can say, well, Aruka has no virus there. Right? We have safe zones. We have no safe zones. You don't know where is safe or where is not safe.
Indeed.
You're not even feeling safe around the police because they don't know what to tell them. When you tell them something, they tell you not to tell them that, and they make a political thing over it. You're not safe. You can't even speak. It's this authoritative leadership kind of standard that is taking place in Trinidad, and I think we need to put an end to that contribution.
Thank you very much.
Very good job, and you have my support.
Thanks a lot for that. Miss Holder is back. It's nice to see Miss Holder is back. Hello, good evening. You're live. And it's not stopping. Hello, good evening. You're live. Yes? Yes, we are.
Okay, the point first that I make is I think it's highly unrealistic to expect policemen and the masses to really police or conduct themselves efficiently. We have people in Trinidad who growing up on Facebook and think posting with big guns and all kind of thing. That is really madness, you understand? Any bandit of any class, you won't be out there, playing games. We have people who want really, really games, whether it's mass time or sport time, we all want games. And recently, I come across an incident where a policeman was telling businessman he's got to close down his business because the Prime Minister says so. The Prime Minister cannot direct a policeman to do his duty.
Indeed.
I understand it. It's got to be the Commissioner of Police. I mean, recent past, there was a Minister of National Security who took the army somewhere down south where they're going to stop on south to effect a protest when a National Security Minister, the direct member.
Caller, everything you're saying, caller, everything you're saying is a fact. There's a separation of powers. The only person who could give instructions to police officers is the Commissioner of Police and the seniority in the ranks. You're absolutely correct. The Minister of National Security continues to try to overstep, and he's continuously put back in his place. But he like a donkey without shame. So I don't know what to tell you. We just have to ignore him and move on. We have a Commissioner of Police who knows his job and who's doing the best that he could, and we have to work with that. Yeah?
Yeah, but all the Commissioner of Police, he's caught between the devil and the deep police.
I disagree. I strongly disagree. And I know Trinidadians, we saw childish. Trinidadians not going to be happy until Gary kicked down the office, the Sinclair Prime Minister office, and lock up the cabinet. They say, oh, well, all right, well, maybe he not pay them. We talk so much foolishness as a people. That's why we can have a normal conversation. But I thank you very much for your contribution. I want to get the ladies to discuss something here. Thank you very much for that. CBS News, Davis, CBS News put out today, the virus dies the quickest in the presence of direct sunlight. Acting Undersecretary of Science and Technology at DHS, Bill Bryant, said Thursday that emerging research has shown that solar light appears to have a powerful effect on killing coronavirus. According to a slide shown at the daily White House Task Force briefing, The virus has a half-life of 18 hours on a surface when it's 70 to 75 degrees with 20% humidity and no sunlight. But when the humidity rises to 80% and sunlight increases, the virus half-life drops from 18 hours to 2 minutes. Open back the blasted beach. Let them go and wind up on one another in the beach. They still can't share coronavirus. Open back the blasted beaches. It drops from 18 hours to 2 minutes. I have never seen a more insipid and stupid policy as to close the beaches when the facts, when you just have to go to worldodometer.com and look at the coronavirus statistics to realize everything on the equator, everybody who temperate is who make up all them big numbers of cases and deaths. Trinidad would not have the cases we have now were it not for Carnival, the 20,000 people let in after when we knew what was going on, and we would not have had it without that PNM Senators cruise that have 68 people testing positive and killed, and 6 people died. 6 people died. Sunlight, 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 sunlight kills coronavirus. BBC said the best place to be in the world right now is on a tropical island with closed borders because sunlight kills coronavirus. Tell the old people, tell the asthmatics, tell those with AIDS and HIV and who have other complications, every day between 12 and 2, go and sit down on a lounging chair in your yard in the sun. Sunlight kills coronavirus.
Philip, I have to agree with you there. And the first thing that happened, the first week that we had lockdown of coronavirus, on the Wednesday of that first week on the beach, there were less than 10 people there. And I think that was the best decision that I ever made because I believe after that they started locking up or running people away from the beach. We don't understand because seawater and the sunlight and just the act of being on the beach, even when you have the common cold, is recommended. Never understood the reason for keeping people away from the beach. I remember this pregnant woman who said that she's pregnant. She had to explain this, that it's to get and the reason for keeping her and keeping others away. I never understood it. And again, I told people from the beginning, look at the research, ask questions. Don't just the government say stay away from the beach, stay inside, don't go outside, and just take it at face value. Do your own reading, do your information that we have now was information that was available very early that we ignored, and now we're coming back to play catch up a month later when it's we should have been telling the public to follow.
I have been asking Michelle, where this second wave that's supposed to are we somehow incubating coronavirus in Trinidad and waiting to spring it on ourselves? Because the virus has a shelf life and you either have it that you put it or you don't. So where is it supposed to come from?
Again, Philip, it is what we are not being told. And, we're hearing the data, and as just as you have access to that data, and the Progressive Empowerment Party has access to the data, you wonder why the present government is not reading, like you said, on the research concerning this virus. We've been told, there is an incubation period of 14 days. And like you said, when is the second wave coming in? But again, at the same time, is there information that we're not being told? Are there more cases that they are quarantined? I think one of the callers mentioned that. Are there more cases quarantined than we know about that haven't been officially tested? This is as a result of the non-disclosure of information in this case.
Look how many people wanted to talk to you all tonight. Watch this. Those are calls that didn't get you.
my phone from people saying that they're trying to call in and they can't get in, unfortunately.
Calls on Facebook. People call me on Facebook. Look, the phone is not stopping, so I'm gonna what? We take one more. Yeah, and we're gonna do a part
Yeah,
two
let's
to
take
this.
one more because I missed a couple.
Hello, good evening,
Yes, Simon, right here.
Simon.
Right here.
Hi,
Yes, good
Simon.
night. Good night, Philip. Good night, Felicia. Good night, Michelle. You want to hear me?
Very
Good
clear.
night.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
just have two questions. Number one, when will Minister Terence Dialsing be coming on Plain Talk to answer some real tough questions? And number two, what is the meaning of patient confidentiality in Trinidad and Tobago? Because I'm confused. Today on the virtual media conference, one of the journalists asked Terence about Ian Allen's situation in Coral Hospital. And Terence Dialsing answered back angrily and said, don't call any names, because he takes his job of patient confidentiality very seriously. But 3 days ago, he mentioned that the New York mayor, the governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo, his wife has been infected with COVID-19, which begs the question, what does he mean by patient confidentiality? What does he mean by that? Is he using term confidentiality to hide information from the public? Is he using it to hide deaths? Is he using it to cover up what is really going on in this country? And that's the question I would like to be answered. If you all could answer that for me, please.
No, but
Thank you very much.
Simon, and you can listen off here. But Simon is absolutely right because they are playing the population.
Agreed.
Those press conferences come across like rehearsed stunts. Nothing comes out of those press conferences informs or educates, edifies. You do not walk away from that press conference ever with any new information. Every single day I wait on social media to see what is the bacchanal and bullshit that came out of the press conference today that people are going to focus on. Barbecue pits and paint, or Ian Allen, or it is never anything that edifies and uplifts. Why would I want to watch that?
Indeed. And Philip, I wanted to comment on something. I had made note of it earlier on a call before I got disconnected. And again, I really apologize for how terrible my internet is tonight. He mentioned, in Canada, if you would have traveled, that you have to self quarantine at home, and that is actually something that I was very confused about. We seem to have people who are being told to quarantine at home. Then we seem to have people who are being told to quarantine in facilities. What is the difference, and what decides whether whether you have to quarantine in one of the facilities? Why did Ian Allen have to spend his positive? Why did he have to go to the facility as opposed to other people who would have been tested positive and told to stay home? What's the difference? And again, what differentiates, and all of this is playing to the questions and the uncertainty and the distrust that is, that the public feels right now in the government. What exactly are they doing?
It makes no sense. What you said there, you're right, and it makes no sense. It shouldn't be that because you test positive, you're automatically going to institution. Hello, good evening, you're live. Good evening, Derek. How are you?
Good night, Lisa. Good night, Michelle. One of the things mentioned is that Michelle mentioned that, I think it was yesterday, they said that we have a new patient and somebody new that contracted the COVID-19, right? Now what I can understand is how much days have passed. I think about maybe more than 14 or 15 days has passed, and we now come up with a new case. So that person, where he get or she get that the virus from? You understand? But if the incubation period is 14 days or 21 days, a lot of days are already passed already. How we getting up all of a sudden, boom, we get one new case. So where that person get that case? Where that person contracted the virus from? I want to know that, right?
I agree with you. I
Very good
absolutely.
question.
Very good question.
Very good question, because if those are in quarantine, where did that new case come from? And again, more questions than answers. Because if the supposed cases are being quarantined, how did that person come out positive? Very good question.
Harry Hunt was trying to call, so I'm gonna call him back and see if I get him. Um, but yeah, I guess he'll see that I tried to call him back. Felicia, we need
Yes,
to
sir.
we need to really. So I want to apologize to all the people who didn't get through, because I think that we need to take this call in show. We need to take it a little more seriously, because I didn't realize the amount of people who would have tried to call in. So we're gonna have to do a part two to this. I'm gonna tell Satish that we're gonna do a part two to this early next week, or maybe over the weekend, if you ladies have the time. Yeah? Yeah, I didn't
Yep.
but I read your, but I didn't get it.
Yep.
Said that.
Our people, my WhatsApp is a mess. I can't even read all of them. And we apologize. It is 9:30. We are this hour and a half now. And Trinidad and Tobago, this is 2020. If we can't get the internet right, if we can't manage a simple show like this, the internet, if we can't get the internet to do a broadcast on social media, this is 2020. Come on, man. This is ridiculous. It's a joke. It can't be this hard to run this country. It can't. It cannot be. I refuse to accept that. You know what I refuse to accept? I refuse to accept that Trinidadians really accept this nonsense as leadership or as governance. I too fed up to talk about that. Everybody who tried to call tonight should have gotten in. I apologize to everybody who didn't. We're going to have a follow-up. We're going to talk to Satish. Maybe it'll happen Saturday, Sunday, or early in the week next week. Tomorrow night, we have former Senate President Timothy Hammersmith, and we have Ved Siriram back for a specific discussion to discuss constitutional reform and proportional representation. That's happening tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. So we're going to send out that graphic after the show. Thanks to everybody who called. Thanks to Felicia. Thanks to Michelle. Thanks to Satish Ramsaran. I want to say a big shout out to Bobby Bagwandine and his whole crew and the caterers today who made the food available for us to go down and to feed the homeless in Port of Spain. We got the opportunity to go and feed the homeless today, a nice lunch. And I called the commissioner to find out if that's okay, if we could do that. And he said, yes, you all could go ahead and observe all the regulations. And when we got there were police officers there, and they came to assist. And I want to thank the officers. Wow. Thank you very much for finding the time to come and assist us with that. Kaifa Modest, Satish Ramsaran, Felicia Holder was there. It was a nice session. And the people who live in that car park, who we've been interacting with and taking stuff for years, they were so happy to see us today, because I think they felt forgotten, and this coronavirus makes it difficult for us to touch the people that need to be touched, and the people that we need to be touching, the people down at the bottom rung. We have too many people in this country that live in lives of desperate circumstances, and we have to change that. Government has to be the rising tide that lifts all boats. Government's job is the well-being of each and every citizen, and that includes especially those people who live in the car park across from Riverside Plaza. It is always a touching experience to be there with them. We've been doing this for over 2 decades now, and I want to thank everybody, especially Bobby and the crew and the commissioner, for assisting. And that's about it. To everybody who called to raise issues tonight, we will be doing a phone-in again, as I said, over the weekend or early next week. Those who didn't get through, stand by for that. To everybody else, until tomorrow, stay safe, Trinidad and Tobago.